Hello everyone, it's me again, and I'm here with another video. Today's video will be, what if Martian Manhunter was in Green Lantern, the animated series? I feel like he would have been just another guest character, honestly. Like in a crossover episode. Like, a guest episode. Who could I have seen as Martian Manhunter? I would say Lawrence Fishburne would have been a good Martian Manhunter, honestly. I could have seen him as Martian Manhunter. He would have been good. Now, how would he have gotten to meet Hal in the game? I assume he and his niece would have come to inform him about the White Martians. Am I talking about Miss Martian? Yes. I could see Christina V, aka the actress who played Marinette Miraculous Ladybug, or Mae Whitman, as Miss Martian. I think they would have been perfect choices. Now, could the Red Lanterns have teamed up with the White Martians? Yes. Apparently, I'd imagine that Atrocitus at one point would discover about the White Martians, and so would the Manhunters. And the one who would come to meet Atrocitus would be Malefic, Martian Manhunter's brother, and could be Miss Martian's father. Or her second uncle. Either way. I could be wrong, Martian Manhunter doesn't have a sister. I'm not 100% familiar with his character. I'm sorry. I don't hate Martian Manhunter, but that's just me. Now, in terms of who I could see as Malefic, I would say David Oyelowo, who played Scar in The Lion Guard, would have been a good choice. Eventually, he comes to meet Atrocitus with some white Martians, and then they form a deal to take down Martian Manhunter, his brother, Miss Martian, his niece, and Hal and the gang. Apparently, the white Martians would get their hands on some of the Manhunters after like a fight, and so would reprogram them with manhunting abilities. Now, I would imagine Martian Manhunter having to like blend in with the other Green Lanterns, maybe disguising as some Green Lanterns like Toma Ray, Guy Gardner, something like that. But the Green Lanterns would know who Martian Manhunter is. Somehow, I don't know, but they could have found out, and they would even meet Miss Martian. And of course, they would meet the Guardians of the Universe, who inform them of the White Martian invasion will not only come to Oa, but will also come to Earth. Which then leads to a subplot on Earth where Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian have to blend with the human culture. And this is thanks to Hal. Carol Ferris may have appeared, I don't know, but I feel like she would. And suspect something wrong with John and Megan, which are the Earth names for Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian. Apparently, soon enough, there are some Manhunters disguising as normal people who then try to attack Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian, but then Hal would somehow figure out that they're Manhunter robots infused with Martian abilities. And in the end, with the combined abilities of Martian Manhunter, Miss Martian, and Star Sapphire, if she were to still have the Pink Lantern Rain, the Violet Lantern Rain. I don't know how you correct me if I'm wrong about that lantern color in the comics. I always associate Indigo with purple and Violet with pink, but that's just me. But they would manage to stop those robots in the end. But then Malefic would come after appearing behind them, and then John would fight his brother, but Malefic would beat him. Miss Marsh would even try to stop him, but she gets beaten. And then Atrocitus and some Red Lanterns, and Malefic would then kidnap Carol. But I think Malefic would be the one doing so. And so Hal tries to save Carol, but it's too late. Martian tells Hal, it's okay. We can't always save the people we love. And then Hal decides that they need to save her before she dies. And then John agrees. Apparently, Miss Martian and Martian Manhunter wouldn't get along with Razor at first because of his allegiance with the Red Lanterns, but then they cool things down. I would imagine Megan and John getting along with Kilowog due to their alien relationships or species. Possibly. But more likely with Miss Martian, but still. Then there's a scene where Carol's under prisoner of the White Martians, and she's about to be killed by the Manhunter robots and the White Martians. But then Hal and the gang would come to save her, along with Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian, along with someone like Toma Ray or Guy Gardner. It's a pretty big fight, and the base that, the White Martians are in, that gets destroyed. However, some surviving White Martians and even Malefic would escape. And Carol would be freed. And then Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian would reunite Carol and Hal. And then Martian Manhunter would tell Hal they'll always meet each other again someday. And then they leave. Now, at the end, there would be a scene where Martian Manhunter and Megan would be out in their human disguises until they meet a villain known as the Human Flame. Not too sure who could play the Human Flame, though. But John senses that he has a relation to fire, or at least his greatest fear, becoming a human. Because there would be scenes earlier in the episode that show the death of his people and what happened to Mars. This could have something to do with Darkseid. Darkseid wouldn't be shown, but he would be, visible to have us speculate that this is Darkseid. Megan would tell Martian Manhunter if he's okay. And then Martian would tell Megan it's time for them to become heroes of Earth. And then they get ready to fight the Human Flame. Now, could this have led into a spin-off show about Martian Manhunter? Maybe, but I doubt it. I say maybe because with the White Martian still around, you could definitely do a show about Martian Manhunter with him facing Malefic and the White Martians. But I say no because I don't really know a lot of villains Martian Manhunter has. He doesn't really have a lot of villains, I don't think. I could be wrong, but let me know in the comments down below if he has more than the villains I mentioned. Those are the ones I'm familiar with, but that's just me. I don't think he would really get a spin-off show. But anyways, I hope you liked this video. Sorry if it took too long to release this month. I promise it won't be a late release like, with the Batman video that's going to come out next. Anyways, bye.